A volcano is one of the most unforgiving natural phenomena on Earth. If you fell into its magma-filled center, your body would quickly bubble up and disappear without a trace. So if volcanoes are so effective at getting rid of things, has anyone tried using them for trash disposal? How would we transport all our garbage to them? And what dangers would be involved? It might sound like the perfect solution to our waste problem, but dumping trash into volcanoes would create far more problems than it would solve. The trash problem. Americans alone generate approximately 254 million tons of trash every year. That's roughly 720 kilograms per person annually. Currently, most waste ends up in landfills, which take up enormous space and can contaminate groundwater. Some trash gets incinerated in controlled facilities. A portion gets recycled, though not nearly enough. But landfills are filling up. We're running out of space. Incineration facilities are expensive. Recycling struggles with funding. So people wonder, what if we just threw everything into volcanoes? Volcanoes look like nature's perfect incinerators. Lava temperatures reach over 1,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt almost anything. They're already destroying rock, so surely they could handle our trash, right? The garbage would melt away into nothing. Problem solved. If only it were that simple. Finding the right volcano. The first obstacle would be finding an active volcano that could actually work. There are only about 1,500 potentially active volcanoes worldwide. Most aren't located near human populations for obvious reasons. Nobody wants to live next to an active volcano. That means getting all our trash to an active volcano would be incredibly expensive. We'd need to transport hundreds of millions of tons across continents and oceans. The cost would be astronomical compared to local landfills. But even if we solve transportation, not all volcanoes are suitable. We'd need a shield volcano, the slow erupting variety with iconic lava lakes that gradually flow out. Shield volcanoes are relatively calm and predictable. Unfortunately, shield volcanoes aren't common. You're more likely to encounter stratovolcanoes, the explosive type that blow their tops off. Mount Vesuvius, Mount St. Helens, Mount Fuji are all stratovolcanoes. They erupt violently from pressure buildup of hot gas and magma. Stratovolcanoes are definitely not suitable for trash disposal. Throwing garbage into one would be like tossing waste into a pressure cooker about to explode. So we'd need one of the rare shield volcanoes, make sure it's active with an accessible lava lake, verify it's not in a protected area, and convince authorities to let us use it. The list of candidates would be very short. The transportation nightmare. Let's say we found a perfect shield volcano. Now we need to get millions of tons of trash there. Most active volcanoes are in remote areas, isolated islands, mountain ranges, unpopulated regions. For the United States, we'd probably ship trash to Hawaii, which has accessible active volcanoes. But Hawaii is thousands of kilometers from the mainland. We'd load trash onto ships, transport it across the Pacific, unload at Hawaiian ports, then truck it up to the volcano. The carbon emissions would be enormous. Ships and trucks burning fossil fuels to move hundreds of millions of tons thousands of kilometers would increase our environmental impact compared to local landfills. We'd make climate change worse trying to solve the trash problem. The cost would be prohibitive. Transporting trash to distant volcanoes would cost several times more than conventional disposal. We'd pay a fortune to make environmental problems worse. The vent dangers. Say money is no object, and we don't care about transport emissions. We've found our volcano and gotten trash there. Now someone has to drive to the vent and dump it in. If you were hired as a waste collector driving to a volcano vent, you'd quickly question your career choices. The vent is one of Earth's most hostile environments. First, poisonous gases. Volcanoes constantly release toxic fumes including sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and hydrogen fluoride. These cause severe respiratory problems, chemical burns, and in high concentrations, rapid death. You'd need sophisticated breathing equipment and constant gas monitoring just to approach safely. Then there's lava splatter. Lava lakes aren't calm, they're constantly bubbling, churning, occasionally splashing molten material into the air. A single droplet hitting your skin causes severe burns. A larger splash could be fatal. Workers would need heavy protective gear and maintain safe distance. Don't forget projectile rocks. gas bubbles rising through lava burst violently, launching solid chunks high into the air. These projectiles can be bowling ball-sized and travel at high speeds. Getting hit would be instantly fatal. The heat alone would be unbearable. Even at distance from lava, radiant heat causes heat exhaustion within minutes. Workers would need cooling systems and could only work in short shifts. The ground around vents is unstable. Thin, fractured, heated from below, prone to collapse. One wrong step and you'd fall through into superheated rock and steam chambers. This is not a safe workplace. People would die regularly despite precautions. The Ethiopian experiment. What actually happens when you throw trash into a lava lake? Do garbage bags sink peacefully and disappear? Not even close. In 2002, Ethiopian researchers conducted an experiment. They threw a 30-kilogram bag of organic trash into the lava lake of Erta Ale volcano. They expected it to burn up and melt. The results were explosive, literally. The moment the cold trash hit the lava surface, it triggered a violent chain reaction. The bag punctured the thin crust on the lava, and cold material rapidly cooled the molten rock it contacted. This created pressurized pockets of steam and gas that exploded outward, launching lava high into the air. It wasn't a small pop. The explosion sent lava flying in all directions, creating dangerous molten rock rain. Researchers scrambled for safety, and this was just 30 kilograms, about a medium-sized dog's weight. Imagine dumping entire truckloads weighing tons. The explosions would be catastrophically large. What really happens? The violent reaction isn't a fluke. It's basic physics. Lava lakes are highly unstable systems in delicate balance. Cold material disrupts that balance dangerously. Lava lakes have thin, solid crust on their surface with liquid lava beneath. This crust forms because the surface is exposed to air and cools slightly. Below, the lava is molten and contains dissolved gases under pressure. When you throw cold trash on this surface, several things happen. First, trash pierces the thin crust, breaking the protective barrier. Second, cold material causes rapid cooling of the lava it contacts, which increases viscosity and traps gases that were previously dissolved. These trapped gases are under tremendous pressure from the lava's weight. When lava suddenly thickens from cooling, it can't release gases gradually. Instead, they explode outward violently, like opening a shaken carbonated bottle, except the liquid is molten rock at over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The explosion launches lava into the air. In Hawaii, rockfalls into lava lakes have sent lava 85 meters into the air, the height of a 28-story building. Deliberately dumping tons of garbage would create even larger explosions. These explosions would spray molten lava across wide areas, creating fires, damaging equipment, potentially killing workers. The explosions would release enormous quantities of steam, not regular steam, but highly acidic steam mixed with volcanic gases containing sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, and hydrofluoric acid. Anyone caught in acidic steam clouds would suffer chemical burns to lungs and skin. The steam would corrode metal equipment, destroying trucks, machinery, and infrastructure. This would happen every time we dumped trash. We couldn't make it safe. Violent reactions are inevitable when mixing cold material with molten lava. The air pollution disaster. Even if we could safely get trash into the volcano without explosions, which we can't, we'd create massive air pollution. Modern waste incineration facilities use sophisticated filtering systems to capture harmful emissions. They remove particulate matter, heavy metals, dioxins, and other toxic compounds before releasing smoke. Facilities are carefully monitored and regulated. Volcanoes don't have filters. They don't have emission controls. All toxic compounds from burning trash would go straight into the atmosphere with no treatment. Burning plastic releases toxic chemicals including dioxins and furans, which are carcinogens. Burning electronics releases heavy metals like lead, mercury, and cadmium. Burning treated wood releases arsenic and chromium. Burning household chemicals releases volatile organic compounds. All these toxins would be released in huge quantities, mixed with volcanic gases, and spread by wind. Communities downwind, would experience severe air pollution. People would develop respiratory diseases, cancer rates would increase, and local environments would be contaminated. Some volcanic emissions reach the upper atmosphere and spread globally. We could contaminate air quality across entire continents. The combination of volcanic sulfur dioxide and chemicals from burning trash would create acid rain far worse than normal volcanic acid rain. This would kill vegetation, contaminate water supplies, corrode buildings, and destroy ecosystems over wide areas. We'd create environmental disaster zones around every volcano. Incomplete breakdown. Not all materials completely break down in lava, even at temperatures exceeding 1000 degrees Celsius. Some materials are surprisingly heat-resistant. Metals have very high melting points. Steel melts at around 1370 degrees. Aluminum melts at 660 degrees. While lava might be hot enough to melt these, the metals would mix with lava and change its properties unpredictably. When volcanoes erupt, and these are active volcanoes, so they will erupt, all that contaminated lava would flow across the landscape. Metals and other remnants would be carried in lava flows, contaminating whatever areas the lava reached. Ceramics and glass have extremely high melting points and would likely survive largely intact. They'd sink to the bottom or get ejected during explosions, scattering contaminated material. Then there's the nightmare scenario. Radioactive waste. Some have suggested using volcanoes for nuclear waste disposal. This would be catastrophically dangerous. Even if radioactive materials melted, the radioactivity wouldn't disappear. It would become radioactive lava. When that lava erupted or gases escaped, they'd carry radioactive particles. We'd create radioactive volcanic ash spreading across vast areas, contaminating soil, water, and air with long-lived radioactive isotopes. It would be an environmental catastrophe, making Chernobyl and Fukushima look small. Remnants would make their way into the environment through eruptions, degassing, or lava flows. We wouldn't be getting rid of trash, we'd be spreading it in a more dangerous form. The environmental impact. Let's look at the big picture. Environmental impact. First, massive carbon footprint from transportation. Shipping millions of tons thousands of kilometers would release enormous carbon dioxide, significantly contributing to climate change. Second, air pollution from burning trash without filters would be far worse than controlled incineration. We'd release toxic chemicals, heavy metals, and acidic gases on a massive scale. Third, acid rain would devastate ecosystems across large regions. Forests would die. Lakes would become too acidic for life. Agricultural lands would be ruined. Fourth, contamination from incompletely burned materials would pollute soil and water around volcanic sites. These areas would become toxic wastelands. Fifth, using volcanoes as dumps would likely disrupt them unpredictably. Foreign materials could change magma properties, potentially affecting eruption patterns. We might make eruptions more frequent or violent. All of this would be more environmentally damaging than properly managed landfills. Modern landfills are designed to contain waste, capture methane for energy, and prevent groundwater contamination. They're not perfect, but they're much better than volcanic disposal. Better alternatives. If volcanoes aren't the answer, what is? We already have better solutions. We just need to use them more effectively. First, reduce waste at the source. Design products that last longer, can be repaired, and use less packaging. Move away from single-use disposable items toward reusable alternatives. Second, dramatically increase recycling and composting. Currently, Americans recycle only about 32% of waste. Many more materials could be recycled with better collection systems. Organic waste should be composted rather than sent to landfills, where it produces methane. Third, use waste-to-energy incineration correctly. Modern facilities burn trash in controlled conditions with sophisticated emissions controls. They capture heat to generate electricity, turning waste into useful energy. The key difference from volcanic disposal is filtering and controls preventing toxic emissions. These facilities reduce waste volume by 90% while generating power. Fourth, better landfill management. Modern landfills with proper liners, leachate collection, and methane capture are relatively safe for storing waste that can't be recycled or incinerated. There's no magic solution. Volcanoes won't save us. We need comprehensive approaches combining waste reduction, recycling, controlled incineration, and improved landfills. Conclusion: would dumping trash into volcanoes work? Absolutely not. It's terrible from every angle. The logistics would be nightmarishly difficult and expensive. The workplace would be incredibly dangerous. Violent explosions would kill workers and destroy equipment. Air pollution would be catastrophic. Materials wouldn't fully break down. Environmental damage would be severe and widespread. It would be worse for the planet than current disposal methods. What looks brilliant at first glance becomes a disaster when examined. Volcanoes aren't designed for trash disposal. They're dangerous, unpredictable geological features we should respect and study, not use as dumps. The Ethiopian researchers learned this when their 30-kilogram bag triggered an explosive eruption. Multiply that by millions of tons and you'll understand why this needs to stay in what if rather than reality. We need to solve our waste problem, but volcanoes aren't the answer. Stick to reduction, recycling, and proper waste management. Leave volcanoes alone to do what they do naturally. If you enjoyed exploring why this seemingly good idea would be terrible, subscribe for more investigations into plans that sound brilliant until you think them through. Stay curious and stay away from active volcanoes.